Chapter 11. A Reason to Fight.
Vydren, why'd you send him away?
Calysta exclaimed. She knew she could have gotten through to Clover, knew she could have come up with the correct words to change his mind.
He didn't want to be here. A shame, since I'm not sure we can handle this alone.
Vydren's tone was somber. Calysta pitied him.
Regardless, I still have explanations to bestow.
Vydren continued. Why did you send those guys after us if you could have just teleported us here? Calysta asked. She was happy to help protect the world, but still wasn't sure of the man in front of her.
My magic isn't strong in this world. As a result, the butterflies you see, the manifestations of my magic don't always adhere to my wishes.
Vydren said, taking a seat on an ancient stump.
Magic is far more scarce now than it was in Arthur's time. In fact, it's nearly extinct,
Callie confirmed. Why did it lead me to Clover then, and not you? Calysta asked, about the next hole in the man's story.
To bring you both here, I needed you both together, in close proximity to each other. I used the butterfly you had as a beacon for my magic.
Vydren said. So, like a GPS tracker? You used it to triangulate our exact location? Calysta asked. The expression she received from Vydren and the feelings of confusion from Callie told Calysta she was the only one here who knew what she was talking about. Suddenly, she missed Clover. Though she loved Callie dearly, having someone else present who understands the modernities she was used to was nice. So, what are these things we are supposed to be wary of? Calysta asked, wanting to change the topic to anything that made her feel less like the oddity among this crowd.
Excalibur and Graham are like blazing infernos in this world, devoid of magic. Beasts and dangers from ages past are beginning to wake.
Vydren said, brushing some of his long brown locks aside. The seriousness in his gaze spoke volumes.
I don't doubt you could handle some of what is coming, but there are other things that could be impossible to overcome without Clover on our side.
The words hit Calysta like that car would have, what felt like a lifetime ago. Like what? The image of a boy burned its way into mind like a brand upon her soul. The boy had black hair and unnatural red eyes that were followed with an outpouring of anger and grief from Callie, so intense that Calysta had trouble seeing where Excalibur's rager stopped and hers began.
If things go as they are, monsters of unfathomable power will awaken, and the final remnant of the era of myth will rise.
Vydren said in a soft tone, barely a whisper in the air.
Mordred.
The name cut through the unrelenting tidal waves of emotions radiating from Callie. Emotions that now cleared to show another image. The image of Arthur in all his golden glory, in a losing battle against the boy from before. Could Mordred even still be alive? It's been hundreds of years, Calysta asked them both.
Thousands, but yes.
Vydren answered.
Similar artificially created beings have lived far longer, and by the time he was brought into the world, I doubt there was a force left other than Arthur's swords that could have slain him.
Vydren elaborated. Artificially made? Calysta asked. She had been the result of a reproductive specialist herself, but she doubted that was what the wizard was implying.
Morgan Le Fay, student to Merlin, took Arthur's DNA from a battlefield and created a child between them with her wicked magic,
Callie said somberly.
Such a child would have grown quickly and unbelievably powerful by human metrics, but would have suffered the same way from a lack of magic in his environment as the mythical beasts that evolved to be reliant on it for survival.
Vydren said, standing once more, his rainbow-flecked eyes looking towards something on the horizon that only he could see. How many more wizards are going to help us? Calysta asked, wondering how many hands there were to help, how much power it would take to do these deeds, and how much time they had until Mordred woke up.
Faye, And none. When the final trickles of magic were used up, my people left, and none of them have had an interest in this world since. I was the lone oddity that still thinks there is hope for this world, for you people, and that perhaps one day we can again return to the world at large.
Vydren's words made sense to Calysta. Despite Clover's implications, she knew the world was filled with bad people. Knew that people that strived with their whole beings to do what was right was rare. But she knew her dad had been one of those, and knew that was who she wanted to be.
But what we are not too dissimilar to those beasts I spoke of before. Even now, I can feel the lack of magic smothering me, like a moth without air to breathe.
Vydren said with a heavy sigh. Is that problem solvable? Calysta asked. She would like Vydren to be able to shepherd his people back to this land they had left so long ago.
The cycle of magic is similar to the cycle that rain goes through. Rain falls, evaporates, and falls again. But there is so little left in this world that the last dying embers are only enough to reincarnate into a handful of people at once. And they are so dim that they are dormant, buried within you.
Vydren's response did not answer her question in full, but painted an unfortunate picture. When will it start? Calysta asked, the future looking grim. She suspected the answer, yet she still asked.
It's already begun. I can feel the tremors throughout the lands, and they will be brought to you and Clover like moths to a flame, for you are beacons to them.
Vydren said, making Callista's heart drop. All the people who could die as a result of her meeting Callie. All the people she wouldn't allow to die. Calysta, I'll save everyone. I won't allow a single man, woman, or child to die as a result of my actions, Calysta said, steeling herself for the battles ahead. She didn't know what hardships would find her, didn't know how the trials hurtling towards her at breakneck speed would need to be overcome. But she would make it happen. Even if I have to fight armies, break myself, or change fate itself, I will save them. That is what her father would have done, she believed. So that was what she would do now.
I'm glad that's how you feel, Calysta,
Vydren said, in a tone that spoke of music and kindness. She would protect the people of this world she owed so much to. Not because she could, but because doing so was her duty, the duty of all those with power. Memories of her father flooded back. His kind eyes and strong smile filled her heart with both pride and sorrow. You truly do miss him. Calysta was taken aback. The memories had unintentionally leaked into their bond. But Calysta was not sorry, for Excalibur had entrusted her with many of her beloved memories.
I will search the lands, and when the first beasts wake, or I find the place Mordred sleeps, I will come find you,
Vydren said, several of his blackened butterflies forming from the air around him. How will you find me? I don't really want to have to go through all this next time, Calysta said, her free hand resting on her hip.
I will have some of my vessels following you. Just ask to speak with me, and they will bring you to me,
Vydren said with a smile. Calysta nodded to Vydren's words, finding this action acceptable.
If there is nothing else you wish to discuss, I will deposit you back at your home.
Calysta wondered how Vydren knew where she lived, and why he hadn't simply found her there. The butterfly was at your home for a while,
And, as he said, he wanted you both together.
Calysta wished Clover had agreed to join them. Thoughts of him came to her mind as the swarm of butterflies enveloped her, the boy who seemed to have a needlessly hard life. When the cloud of fairies dispersed, she was in her room once more. She allowed Callie to return to her ring form on her finger. Why wouldn't he want to help? Calysta asked out loud. Flopping down on her bed, Mr. Puggington greeting her.
It appears he hasn't had an easy life, in or out of his home,
Callie said with calm. Shouldn't that be more reason to want to change it? To make things better? Calysta demanded, as she gave Mr. Puggington's face a small squish.
I'm sure in his own way he believes he is. Your lives have been very different, Calysta. It's possible that's the difference between you two,
Callie said. As Mr. Puggington withdrew his face from her hands, memories of Clover's home were brought back to her mind. Calysta didn't know if Callie was the one doing this, or if it was a result of her overly active mind. The smell of alcohol and cigarettes permeated the memory of the messy home, littered by trash and bugs. He talked about his siblings, Calysta said, reflecting on the day.
From what Graham told me, he cares a great amount for them,
Callie responded. If whatever we have to fight lays waste to the world, they'll die too. Calysta wished he had listened, if not for everyone else's sake, for their sake. Though the thought lingered in her mind that perhaps she hadn't done much listening either. I got overly excited again. I ran in and barely listened to him. I was more interested in preaching my own ideals than living up to them. Calysta regretted her actions, but didn't know how to mend them without worsening things.
To fail is to be human. It is how you make up for it that determines who you are. If you choose to be someone better than the you of prior days, you are on the correct path,
Callie said gently. Calysta thought that being worthy of Excalibur would have meant she was better than the current her, but she felt as though she had only made mistakes since pulling Excalibur from that pedestal.
Was saving that little boy a mistake? Or putting yourself in harm's way to lead Vydren's warrior away from the public? Or was it cowardice to confront Clover over his slaughter of criminals?
Callie asked, a sternness coming to her voice. I guess not. But what good did it do? Calysta asked.
That child will live and grow up, work towards his own dream, and that is all because of you, Calysta. You weren't my wielder when you took that first step into danger to save a child unaware death was fast approaching. You were just a human that believed in your ideals,
Callie said, warmth radiating from their mental link. Calysta wanted to argue but didn't. She didn't regret saving the boy and getting to know Callie. But one thing was certain in her mind. She had to do better from here on.
That's what your father would have done,
Callie said. He would have, Calysta agreed. Though he couldn't be here today, she would struggle for what was right in his place. She would protect his legacy, even if it was a legacy only she remembered. Calysta wondered what would happen when things of myth started to wake, when she had to face evils tens of thousands of years older than her. She wondered how her next meeting with Clover would go, or what it would be like to come face to face with Mordred, the King Killer. The tasks at hand seemed so daunting, like trying to reach the stars in the night sky. Yet the task didn't frighten her, but rather left her feeling excitement down to her very core.
You will be facing dangers and adventure like you had never imagined.
Though Callie's words were meant as a warning, Calysta hoped they were a promise, and hoped the future version of herself overcame those challenges against all odds. She would forge herself into someone able to contend with such threats, make herself someone who could protect everyone. And the idea of being that person filled her with joy.
I do worry about Graham, though. Something seemed off about that sword.
Calysta agreed with this. She would research that sword tomorrow, just in case there was something Clover should know.
Be careful. Not all relics are as straightforward as I am. It's possible you might get sucked into some plot,
Callie warned. What's worrying ya? Calysta asked. She knew something was on the sword's mind. She felt it, despite Callie's attempts to hide it.
His scales and claws, the aura of magic surrounding him, it reminds me of Dreg Goch, Callie said, with clear contempt.
Who? Calysta asked. He had heard a moderate amount of the tales regarding King Arthur. However, the name Callie had mentioned drew a blank.
A dragon the people of Wales brought to war, a beast that Arthur and I slayed, a red dragon of immense strength,
Callie explained. Well, clearly Graham is a sword. We saw it. Still. Calysta trailed off, thinking about how to articulate her thoughts about the strange black claw that didn't seem to return to its natural state. That claw worries me. If the sword is disfiguring him, we should do something. In truth, Calysta had no idea how to accomplish this, had no idea how to break such a bond, or even the ethics of it.
A bond such as ours can only be broken by death, or both parties being willing to disband it,
Callie said, answering Callista's questions. It didn't look like Clover was very willing to let it go, Calysta said, closing her eyes.
Only time will tell how their tale ends. All you can do is your best.
Calysta knew Callie was right. Even so, she didn't envy Clover's fate.